Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us in this session that's held by UN Women and Nama Women Advancement. Today, we are going to be talking about how to automate your business. My name is Hanan Khaldi. I'm an entrepreneurship consultant with the UN Women. And the session today will be led by our guest speaker, Sarah Abdullah. Sarah, good morning.
Morning, Hanan, morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you for joining us. I just want to let you all know that this session is recorded. We are going to be muting everyone. So during the session, if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to add your questions or comments in the chat box, and I'll be reading them and engaging them with them. We are also going to share a little bit about our social media handles in a bit, and you are more than welcome to tag any of us, all of us in any sessions if you want to talk about it on Twitter, LinkedIn, or Instagram. And of course, tag our organization, UN Women, and our NAMA Women Advancement on the handles that are shared in here. If you could slide, please. Okay. So today we also want to let you know that we have an ongoing initiative for women-owned business directory, where we are trying to connect women with market opportunities. The link is down there, and you are more welcome to share it. My colleague Maya, thank you, Maya, just pasted it in the chat. And you are more than welcome to add it, to click in there and to add your information. Please mute everyone, thank you. So in here you list your company, your products, and we are also trying to link you with potential market. This is one of the initiatives that the UN Women is supporting. And here we are looking for how we define what is a woman-owned business. It has to be either owned by 51 female percentage or more than 25%, so that we can, that it's owning it and they have also a part of the decision making. This is today is a part of a series of master classes, workshops that we have started back in 2021. And every month we have a number of sessions and we talk about trending topics. Today we are with Sarah, we are talking about how to automate your business. In the next week, we would like for you to also join us on the 23rd of August. We're going to be talking about transforming your mindset and business model to survive post-COVID economy, with our next speaker, Rami Al-Karmi, who's the chairman of Abnormal Collective, and he's also a professor in HTU University. We just want to run a quick poll in here. If you can just let us know how much you know about automating your business. So you could, the options that you have is that you have no knowledge at all, or is it a bit poor, maybe good, maybe very good. Not everyone knows a lot about automation, specifically for startups at the very beginning. Sometimes it's a challenge.
Well, we have 27% that have good knowledge. That's a good number.
True. Okay, perfect. We're still having, okay, so we're going to end this poll. And so today, my guest speaker, Sarah, who's a well-rounded expert in digital transformation. Please, Sarah, I'll give you the mic so that you could please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you so much, Hanan. So first of all, I'm 24 years old. I live in the UAE. I've been here my whole life. And to be labeled as an expert is extremely humbling. I'm still learning as much as all of you. So I really hope that today I could give you a little bit of the knowledge that I have in this field. What I do today is that I'm a channel sales engineer at Schneider Electric. I started my career with them, and throughout my career and with the right mentors and the right leaders, I was able to lead transformation projects across digital customer experience and e-commerce. And I've worked in multiple functions such as CSNQ, digital and business development, and now in sales. I'm also an inspiring entrepreneur, and I do spend some time giving advice or recommendations to some of my friends who have their own businesses. So that's where, this opportunity is a nice mixture of my corporate career and my passions on the side. So I really hope that you enjoy today's session and that you leave it, with a little bit inspired, I hope.
I know you for a month now, so I'm already learning a lot from you, and I hope today our audience will as well.
Thank you so much, Hannah, really. So with that being said, let's get right to it. So what I will try to give you by the end of today is a good understanding of how to build your digital capability, okay? And to do so, you would need to identify, what needs automating. A huge component to it is setting your goals and success outcomes, understanding the roles and responsibilities of you, or if you have a team, and communication in the case that there is a team running your business with you. Finally, I will try to help you understand how to decide which tools that can help you automate efficiently. So let's start by, we now know what percentage of you have good knowledge, no knowledge and whatnot. So let's make it a little bit more specific. I want to understand from you what you think the difference between automation and digitization is. So if you could please just add your answers in the chat box.
So ladies, and I'm not sure if we have gentlemen with us, if you could just add what you think in the chat box. What's the definition of automation in your opinion, or in your understanding as far, and what's the difference between it and digitization? So just write what you think, the definition of automation and the definition of digitization, and we will be reading them and to see, okay, so automation is convert the manual process to electrical process. That's interesting.
Okay.
Automation is establishing system for smooth running of business. Okay, I like that. Automation uses less manpower. Digitization is converting manual process into digital. Automation is automating a process. I understand it could be automizing reports on Excel, for example. Automation eliminates small and repetitive tasks. Automating all manual processes to become digital. It's when you put in a program and get the results, while digitization is using the internet for anything. But we have a very interesting answers here. Yes, Sarah?
A knowledgeable audience. There is the, the common interchangeable use of each word. So I'm going to try to simplify it for all of you. A lot of you had the right answers there. Some of you had, some mix-ups. So digitization is converting anything that's in hard copy to digital format. So some of you got that right. And actually, digitization is the first step towards automation, because the information needs to be available and digestible for you to start to automate it, okay? And automation is, like many of you have said, accomplishing tasks without human intervention. It improves the processes that are being offered, and it can leverage software, production lines and whatnot. So the concept of automation extends to all kinds of industries and fields based on where you are, where you're operating. And the gist of all of it is that when you are building blocks to have digitization and automation, you can start your digital transformation process, which is where you utilize technologies to create new or modify existing business processes, culture, and customer experience to meet changing business and market needs. So in today's world, it is becoming a requirement for you to survive in the marketplace. A quick, small example of all of these words is when you add something to your cart on a shopping platform and then you receive an email sending you a reminder that you didn't check out yet. So that is an example where a business has automated the reminder process, freeing up their employees from, the old-fashioned sales process of, oh, did you end up placing the order? Can you please place the order today? And so on. So, so with that being said, I hope we have defined the buzzwords. In today's world, there are a lot of them. And I hope that this helped you grasp, in very simple terms, what these three different things are. So according to what we've just defined, what are some examples of digital transformation that you can think of? I've given you a little hint there so that you're not too overwhelmed. So the Carrefour app, if you live here or in Jordan, Carrefour is one of the biggest grocery chains. So one of the biggest transformations that they've made is the app. So that is a quick example of digital transformation that Carrefour has adapted to compete with the likes of Talabat, Kipsons, and so on. So
yeah, we already have answers.
Oh, what are they?
Netflix.
I cannot see the chat, so Hanan has to read the answers to me.
So Netflix, Gibson.
Yeah.
E-banking applications.
Yeah.
Does Chatbox fall under this?
Yes, definitely.
Urban Club app application in India. Actually, Urban Club is in Dubai as well.
Yeah.
Ticketing. What do you think?
Definitely.
My company app. What's your company, Asma? Service bookings, Talabat, Amazon, Kareem. Within hospital, we digitized healthcare access, for example, and automated the pharmacy. That's interesting.
Very knowledgeable audience, Hanan, you see? So this makes it a lot easier for me today.
So Asma says car for her. Okay. But here we are eliminating this within apps. Okay, so maybe we can just give a retake on this, a wrap up on this. So like automation and so digital transformation. There's a question, do we mean by this that we are limiting everything to an application?
No, that's not what we mean. That is actually a common misconception. And it's one of the reasons that people are overwhelmed, is that they think that you have to limit everything to an application. Going back to the Carrefour example, I still go get my groceries face to face. I go take that grocery trip, but on the days where I'm busy, I'm able to just pull up an app and facilitate my life. So it's more reframing your thought process to perceive it as freeing up your energy to do other things. In today's world, any type of process is an opportunity to be turned into an app. But when you really think about it, the apps that you use are just the facilitators, not the things that try to do everything at once. So I hope that I answered your question or addressed how you were perceiving that. Is there feedback from the same person or?
So yes, we have also e-commerce platforms, InstaShop, McDonald's, Cafo, more an application for investment. So I guess we have all good answers. We can move on.
So with that being said, I want to ask you, knowing what we know so far, what percentage of digital transformations do you think fail?
So you have a poll in front of you. If you could add your answer. So of the efforts, right? We are talking about the efforts. So what percentage of digital transformation efforts could fail? Okay, so more audience are leaning between 50, 70, and 30. Okay, 50 is the lead, definitely. Okay. I think anything beyond 50% is still like a big shaker, to be honest, for me. Okay, So we receive 50%, 31%, 30% believe it's 50%, and 27% believe it's the 30, and then the 70%. What's the right answer, Sarah?
So 70% of digital transformation efforts fail.
Oh, wow.
And
That's a big number.
Yeah, it's a big number. It really forces you to stop and think about, how you can prevent yourself from falling into that trap. So if we were to try to analyze why that happens, it's really simply because people are too attached to the shiny object value of certain apps and tools. So, and I frequently see this in entrepreneurship discussions. So a lot of people, go out there and they're like, I really like what Uber is doing. I want to do the same for another type of field. So they are lured in by the shiny app value that Uber provides. So their entire plan would evolve or revolve around implementing that type of solution. When you reflect on yourself as well, by the way, if whether you in university or in corporate or in any kind of context, have you ever been forced to use a digital tool where you simply couldn't understand why anyone would deploy or enforce such a tool? It's a plot in some shows as well. And the famous saying of I can do it so much faster by hand. So it's these, approaches that prevent you from actually maximizing the potential of digital transformation and set you up for failure. In business context, as a business owner or someone who's aspiring, or whether you work in corporate, you need to understand that the heart of most of these failures is not the technology, it's the people. So whether it's, the management behavior not supporting change, whether it's employees being too resistant to change. So they are often characterized by a lack of urgency, a reluctance to adopt, a fear of change, and more importantly, a lack of clarity, okay? So there needs to be a reason of where are we headed and why. Now, all of this could be addressed by good leadership and communication. When you want to build your digital transformation strategy, it all starts with understanding what you, if you're the one who is on the ground handling the operations, or the people who are doing that for you, are facing their biggest pain points or need for automation.
Before we move on, Sarah, because I'm receiving some questions from our audience. Can you tell, first, I just want to say that there's a difference between saying, do we have like 70% of our processes digitalized, or saying that 70% of our efforts towards digitalization is failing. So, like there's a difference, right? So we keep trying, but 70% of the efforts, unfortunately, go down the drain. But we also have a question of where did this number come from? Is there a study behind it? Is it a well-known, recognized one in the industry?
So this is a study that was done by, published by Deloitte and by McKinsey, if I recall correctly, where they had a sample of different types of companies in different sectors. And accordingly, based on that discussion, where they even had interviews with top management, people on operations, this was the conclusion that the results had shown.
Perfect.
Yeah. So before you can start to identify what digital activities present good opportunities for your business, it's good to understand the 5 elements of digital capability. So we'll start with the business model, okay? When we're talking about digital capability and a business model, it can allow you, so digitization can allow you to have an omni-channel type of experience towards your customer, expand your business model to deliver something as a service. This is increasingly popular nowadays, software as a service, delivery as a service, and so on. And digital products such as, the Netflix example, so movies, YouTube videos, and so on. Customer experience, so everything that you use today, your most comfortable apps. There's a lot of work that goes into making that comfortable for you and intuitive to use. And it's what actually makes you go back and constantly use that app. Customer intelligence. So data is a big buzzword as well. How you leverage that to improve and enhance your customer experience and emotional engagement. So in today's age of digital marketing, social topics, you see big brands like Nike, Adidas, and so on. A lot of their emotional engagement is done through videos that resonate with the culture of where they are operating. Another very important pillar is the operations. So for you today, when you're running your business, is your back office efficient? Is your process digitized where it needs to be? Okay, so this goes back to Hanan, your point about, is it 70% of my processes that are digitized? You could have 20% of your processes digitized, but that is much more effective for your business because that's what your business needs, especially if your business is excessively, requires labor or whatnot. Another very important one, but this is more in the corporate world and more when your business is going from the medium to large size, which is your employee experience. One of the biggest elephants in the room when it comes to startups is how fast they fire and how, when they scale up, they end up doing so many layoffs. So, and that's because what they tend to neglect as they get bigger is how they can set their employees up for flexible work. Flexible work is very, very good component in entrepreneurship, but beyond that is the upskilling and future proofing of their employees. And finally, the digital platform, which is the core and the foundation, and it refers to the technology, the applications and data set that your processes and your front end, the customer interactions are based on. Now, when you look at the overall chart, you see the business model and the digital platform are the longest. And that's because both of them intersect in all three of the smaller pillars of customer experience, operations, and employee experience. So, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, Sarah. But towards the beginning, you mentioned something about omni-channel and like how we can just, can you please explain what this vocabulary means?
Omni-channel is going back to the Carrefour example. Today, actually yesterday, Carrefour only had physical stores. So their income was only coming from the visits to the store. Today, Carrefour has an app, pickup service, and so many different ways for their customers to get their groceries. So omni-channel means you're having several opportunities for customers to obtain your product.
We can also like connect it to like how different ways we can like bring in money in different ways as well. Or
Exactly.
is it different?
Exactly. When you reflect on yourself as a consumer, previously you only spent money on groceries once a week. Now we all fall into the trap of ordering regularly throughout the week and then making that trip to the grocery store at the end of the week. So my spending personally on groceries has increased because of Carrefour's good omni-channel strategy. So it's bad for my pocket, but good for Carrefour's. So that's an example of how it's beneficial for the business owners. The more,
but this is different than talking about like something like the payment gateway, right? Like the payment gateway is easing automation or like a part of our process, right?
Payment gateway
or does it fall under omni-channel?
It's an enabler for your omni-channel. So
it's an enabler for the omni-channel.
So if you're someone who only takes cash, you're restricting yourself to maybe 1/3 of the potential customer group. Now, I personally stopped carrying cash. So a lot of my transactions are on cards. So you would lose me as a customer on the spot. There are situations where that has happened. I couldn't make a purchase because I didn't have cash on me. If you're a business that takes cash, payment through WhatsApp, payment through all the different possible payment gateways, then you're just expanding your reach to cater for a wider audience and increased spending to your pocket. So it's an enabler to your omni-channel for sure.
Perfect. Thank you, Sarah.
So I think maybe this is the part where it's getting a little bit overwhelming, all these technicalities. But as a business owner, you might be starting to ask yourself, or maybe the reason you joined today is, where do you even begin? So knowing your business operations knowing where the chunk of your time is going and the chunk of your efforts. So understanding that about your business, you've already started. Okay. So we've mentioned that people are very integral to the concept of transformation, but it's also building your transformation around your operations, not vice versa. So another trap that people tend to fall into is, okay, we like this tool, or no, we want to digitize. So they start from the process or tools themselves and not the actual operations. So your real starting point should just be knowing your operations. How do I navigate my relationship with my suppliers today? Where are the locations that I'm operating? One, quick example of locations is if you're a small business owner and you're going to pop-ups today, such as, in Zabil Park or in Timeout Market and whatnot, you're restricting yourself to 2 days a week, and that's it. When you take that and you take your business to Instagram or some sort of social media, you've now gained, instead of 200 people that are visiting on the 2 days of the week, you now have expanded your potential customer reach to, let's say, 1,000. Obviously, that goes into other topics such as digital marketing and so on. So understanding, how these different things, how you've set them up for your business, how your operations flow, how you're trying to create an added value, mapping these out, having a discussion with your team if you're not in some parts of the operation, this is your starting point. So for me to make things easier and put context to what I'm trying to deliver to you today, I've created a fictional business. So we have Tina. She's a handmade jewelry business owner. She runs her business with two of her friends and her sister. And today, Tina sells through Instagram and through her website. And if you look at her profile, she has a decent amount of following, good number of posts, and she is taking orders through DMs, Instagram DMs, or you can WhatsApp her to order. I'm not going to go into more details about Tina, but I just want you to keep her in your mind as a handmade jewelry business owner, because it will help us to really put into context the framework that I want to present to you today. So in today's business world, in today's competitive market, according to the research published by Harvard Business Review Press, competitive advantage comes from one or more of the three sources that are content, experience, and platform. So what I'm referring to here is your digital competitive advantage. I'm not talking about the traditional definition of competitive advantage. When you think about any of the examples that we mentioned today, you know them because of either their customer experience, either their platform, or if we're talking more going towards the influencer culture and more of the products such as jewelry and so on, you're thinking about the content that they're pushing out. So let's start to break them down. So when we look at content of what is consumed, it's information. So in the jewelry business example, that could be the jewelry price, size, material, color, etc., that you would see on a product display page. In the same context, it could be digital products such as NFTs. So if you've heard of this, the NFTs, you might have heard that there's a Rolex NFT and so on, or jewelry as a service. So one of the most renowned jewelry brands actually rent their jewelry out, but not in a digital type of platform. So this is an example of where big brands could sort of leverage the digital competitiveness and start to display their jewelry as a service through some sort of platform. Next is the experience. So how is it packaged? So what is your customer facing platform? Do you have a community that addresses some questions about your product, the reviews, the customer feedback? A lot of us don't make purchases unless we check the reviews of a certain type of jewelry. Jewelry customization, that's another one. So you're starting to see brands giving you the option of a sort of configurator where you choose the color, you choose the rock that you want, and engraving as well. You even see that in in Apple, when you buy one of their devices, you could choose the option of engraving. So the next pillar that makes you digitally competitive is the customer experience that you deliver. Finally, it's the platform. So if you always notice, platforms always coming at the bottom because it's the foundation again. And you have your internal platform, which in a jewelry business, the context would be around your designing process, how you manage your inventory and your orders, your procurement, how you source the materials for your jewelry business, and your customer relationship management. So how you're building this customer database, how you're accessing it, and the external platform. So so in Tina's example, she has the Instagram page, she has a website. She could develop a landing page, maybe an app if the consumption goes up, etc. So the reason we put these examples is that it will help you contextualize for your business what it is that serves as your content, experience, and platform. By the way, like, just to not overwhelm you, you don't need to have all three. I'm just defining the overall by consensus. What are the three things, whether you have one, two, or all of them, that make you digitally competitive in today's market? Now, in terms of how we apply this for you, let's help you define your starting point. So if you want to take notes, if you have your phone, we can start to assess in terms of these three things how you fit into each of the pillars. So let's look at today and looking at content of what is consumed. On a scale from 1 to 10, does content create business value, or does it not create business value, or does it create significant business value? So rate your business today in each of these three areas, whether it's content, experience, or platform, on the extent to which it creates business value for you. Don't get overwhelmed. We're going to deep dive into each one and help you understand more. And if your score seems to be very low, I'll give you some average scores that have been determined by the same type of research. So the average score for content is 6.8, okay? 5.6 for customer experience, and 6.4 for platforms. So
that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So content comes before my platform.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, the reason that, not the reason, one thing that proves why this would be the highest is the influencer culture that we have today. I can now go out and become my own business, right? With the way content is being valued in today's day and age.
So we can go with this scaling from like 1 to 10 for like the three of them, right? Like I can put like for my own business, I can see like, so for me content, like the first one, like if I have different things, like let's say in the jewelry, like we are talking about like the design process is one. Can we talk about like the stories behind the jewelry itself, the gold or the leather or things like this? Or you're talking like that I need to scale the three just as in content in general, experience in general, and platform in general?
No, let's go back to the first point you mentioned. So if I'm today pushing out content, if Tina today is pushing out content on her Instagram about how her jewelry is created, how what goes behind the process, how she chooses the colors, that is a type of content. Is it adding business value? Tina goes and looks at how much revenue she generates through Instagram. So that's where you're defining that journey. So you could be pushing out content. There are so many accounts that push out content, but are they generating business through Instagram? Is this content turning into leads? So there's a whole science to it. But it all starts with you asking yourself today, is this content, creating business value for me, or do I not need it? Some business types, they don't need to be pushing out content. They just need to be present, like for a non-jewelry business, for an app, it's all about the experience. For Uber, you don't go on their Instagram to look at their content, you know, you just have the experience itself. So the app, the way that the customer experience is being delivered and the platform through which it's delivered. So in the case of Uber, you have experience and platform, they could be ranking up very high, but content, it's not necessarily something that creates business value.
So in here, should I, like, because I'm doing the exercise as you are going. So the ones that I rank, or sorry, scale, like 5 and above. So that means they create significant business to value. Do I keep them for now and like highlight them for a reason, or like I just to put things into perspective?
You keep them because we're gonna start to understand more.
Okay.
Because obviously, whatever score you get, if it's not 8, 9, or 10, 7, 8, 9, or 10, it means there's an opportunity for you to work towards it, right?
Okay.
So if let's say you have 7, 6, and 5, you have a bigger opportunity maybe to address your platform or experience because they're slightly lower than content, for example.
Okay.
Yeah. And once you've identified what is going on for your business today, we can start to look at 3 years from now, okay? So how do we contextualize this? In terms of content, on a scale from 1 to 3, 1 being the least important, how important is content or experience or platform for the success of my business? So today, if Tina is a jewelry business owner and she has 200 posts on Instagram, maybe she's not generating as much as she could through Instagram. She could look at other bigger jewelry brands who are also running on the value of handmade jewelry, and she'll see, you know, 100,000 followers, maybe 200 and so on. So she could say, okay, you know what? And she looks at the number of posts that they're creating. It's 1,000, 2,000 posts on Instagram. This means that her content score today, maybe it's 4 in terms of creating business value, but 3 years from now, looking at how the future of her business is through the existing larger businesses in this field, 3, I would rate it as 3 because it's the most important for creating business value for me as a jewelry business owner. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So if I'm still an entrepreneur with the idea only and I haven't launched yet, that would mean that I need to like benchmark, kind of like look at the market, look at like similar startups, businesses, and see what's working for them, right? And I need to like just look at what's the thing that would convert, right? Like from like just me watching this platform to me engaging with it, to me becoming like a customer. Is that the way to go?
Exactly. So it actually helps you when you understand before you even enter the market with your product, when you understand that content, experience, and platform are the foundation to digital competitiveness, you're already starting to see, okay, if I want to open a cloud kitchen business, I'll look at the different cloud kitchen businesses out there and I'll see what is it that they're prioritizing. Are they outsourcing the experience to apps like Deliveroo, Talabat, and so on? Or are they building their own platform? Are they putting content on social media? Are they engaging customers? And I'll start to see, and accordingly, I will be able to gauge, okay, for me, as someone who wants to go into this certain field, based on what I've seen, I will prioritize investing in my platform or experience. So it helps you define a starting point of where you want to be competitive. And this supplements, you know, the business part of it, you know, the business competitiveness, you know, the 4 P's of marketing. So everything we're discussing today, it's a digital add-on to the traditional sense of doing business, if that makes sense. So I hope I addressed your question in a clear manner.
Yeah, thank you.
So how can you address each pillar and how can we deep dive into each pillar? It requires some sort of reflection with your team or with yourself if this is a one-man show for you. When it comes to content, and again, Hanan, this is for, so there are 2 ways to look at it. You rightfully mentioned whether you have a business today or whether you want to have one. So this either asks you to question what you have today or helps you understand what you need to do when you're starting your own thing in each of these pillars.
Allow me to interrupt you one more time because we're receiving more questions about the 3. if there's just a possibility to just go back one slide and just give us maybe like a high level explanation. So what's the difference, content experience platform, specifically platform?
Okay, so in terms of content, let's take Instagram, the jewelry example. In terms of content, the concept of it is, am I putting 10 posts a day about what's new, about product information? Am I putting information about the discount codes that I have? Am I putting information about what I am, what goes behind the process of creating my jewelry? Okay. Experience, okay. When we're talking about digital, in some aspects, I could take my jewelry business to the next level, where today, if it's fully digital, the customer cannot try on the necklace, right? So what is the experience that I'm delivering, that I'm packaging for them in terms of the jewelry context? It could be try on before you buy. So I could send the customer a box of different jewelry pieces, or maybe different sizes or different colors. They can try it on and send it back to me. That is a form of experience. The packaging itself. So I know so many people that post on their Instagrams and social media when they see a very cute, attention grabbing type of package. Sometimes the packaging have extra coupon codes and so on. So that is the experience in the context of a jewelry business. Platform is, are you giving access to your customers to place orders, or your employees to track orders through Instagram, Amazon, Noon, your own website, WhatsApp? So I hope this clarifies it in the jewelry type of context. If you want to ask the question for your business type context, then we can also try to address it that way as well.
Okay, so when we talk platform, we are saying like what kind of, let's say, get easier, like exactly, so that I can communicate with my customers. So even if I'm like building like a jewelry, or I'm making a tech bracelet, my favorite example. Yeah. So it means like maybe I'm so focused on Instagram, but then I figure out that maybe having a landing page would also like make more sense, because people want to reach me like firsthand, right? Because Instagram still is through a different platform, but through my own website, things are different. Or maybe being more accessible through like having also like an application. Could we also consider application under platform in here?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
A lot of the big brands, big clothing brands, they start through marketplaces. Once they see a good amount of revenue being generated, they understand there's a limitation. I'm jumping the gun here, but it's just to give you insight. They understand that there's a limitation to the type of data that you can get through marketplaces. So they decide, okay, I'm making enough money to invest into my platform. I've been investing on content. I've been investing on experience. Let me work on my own platform, because that's going to give me data. That's going to give me the ability to simplify customization of jewelry. So for Tina's example, she could be getting customization requests through WhatsApp or Instagram, but if she has her own platform, she could create a tool for the different products that she can customize, and the customers can choose, the different features. So it really is about focusing, Hanan. So one thing I don't want people to make the mistake of is to try to do all three at once. You won't succeed. You're setting yourself up for failure or feeling overwhelmed. The most digitally competitive businesses start by focusing on one pillar. What is the one that is adding the most business value? Again, if we look at content, is it creating business value today? How important is it? If it's not creating business value, but it's extremely important, that's where I would start. If it's already creating business value, it's not so important. Why would I invest more time into it?
Okay.
So I hope this is addressing.
Yeah, I think it's more clear right now. So what you're saying is that content experience and platform for every business is definitely different. Like you gave like the jewelry opposite to Uber. So and that, like, of course, Uber would definitely look at the experience and that their platform is working, because if also the application has bugs or something's not gonna work, exactly, but they don't care about that, like content online or putting videos, etc. While like, you know, if I'm a jeweler or like having a clothing experience platform, so I would want people to like learn more about like, okay, fine, maybe I'm green, I'm environment friendly, I'm providing various colors that are like not harmful to the skin, etc. So yeah, so it's different. Okay, I think this is very good. Thank you, Sarah.
So just to even supplement, you know, the doubts that some of you might be having, the discussion that you could have with yourself, the reflection that you could have with yourself, and the discussion that you could have with your team when we talk about content could be formulated in the following questions. So, are you continuously adding new or refreshed content to generate buzz for your business? And if so, are you assessing how customers are consuming this content? And if you are assessing, are you understanding what customers find the most valuable in the content that you provide today? And then you can even take it one step further and ask yourself, what other content could you provide that customers or channel partners could value or pay for? And finally, who has the responsibility for content in your team? Let's take this and apply it to the jewelry example. Today, Tina's only posting 200 posts. That's not even one post a day if we're looking at how much, how many days in the year there are. Okay, 200 posts. She can see that her jewelry making videos and her coupon code posts have the most engagement in terms of comments and likes and views. Okay, so that's some sort of assessment. So she's starting to see that customers are finding the most valuable are the content that makes her business sort of more human or relatable to them, or gives them discounts. I mean, who doesn't love discounts? And then she can start to understand, okay, but in terms of the jewelry business, maybe Tina can just stop at what do customers find the most valuable in the content she provides today, and that's it. She doesn't need to go to the, what other content, she could talk about what other content she could be publishing out there, but she doesn't need to worry about monetizing it yet. So monetization is more for an advanced or maybe different type of business. And why do we think about who has the responsibility? It's because of what we mentioned at the beginning, the communication with your team. If the person who is creating the content is spending most of their time on manually pushing it out, maybe Tina needs to have a discussion with her team. Okay, how can we automate this part for you? Maybe all you need to do is just create the posts and then just automate when they're posted and so on. So this is one way to sort of frame the content and understanding where your starting point. If you can't answer the first question, then your starting point is, let me start adding new or refreshed content. If you answered that part, okay, and you're not assessing, then your starting point is, let me start to assess how customers are engaging. So a good example of that would be WhatsApp. If your content is on WhatsApp stories, all you're seeing is the views. Instagram is much more valuable, or Twitter, for example, maybe even YouTube, for you to assess how these customers are consuming your content. With experience, we start by asking ourselves, are you measuring your customer satisfaction in the experience today? If so, what aspects of your customer experience do your customers enjoy the most? What do they find frustrating? And how much of your revenue is generated online? Finally, if you're thinking ahead, you can start to say, okay, considering both traditional competitors and new entrants, who has the best customer experience in my industry? Going back to the jewelry business, today, Tina is not really assessing how her customers are finding the experience of purchasing and the packaging and so on, other than WhatsApp images and text saying, Tina, I love the jewelry, I love the packaging, it's so cute, but she can't really assess what parts of her operations she needs to enhance or improve when it comes to, for example, delivery times and so on. So that's her only way of really measuring, which is just the voice of the customer through the traditional channels where she is selling her products. So that is an opportunity for her to improve and maybe automate that a bit. And then she can start to, okay, the aspects of my customer experience is the quality of my jewelry, the packaging, that's what they like. What do they find frustrating? Maybe that they can't track where the delivery is, for a small business owner, let's put it into context. Maybe Tina delivers the jewelry herself with the people that work for her. So it depends on her availability, the availability of the people with her. So there's no consistency in when the customer could expect their product. So that could be an aspect that they find frustrating. And then when we talk about how much of the revenue is generated online, going back to the Instagram example, WhatsApp, she mentioned that she takes orders to her website, Instagram, WhatsApp, and DMs. Out of all four, where is the most revenue coming from? And where could it be improved? So you can take these kinds of questions and apply them to your business, to your job, whatever it is. And this could set a good foundation for your digital transformation project as well. I'm sorry, Hanan, I'll go through the platform as well, and then we can take questions on all three, just so that we can, be mindful of time. In terms of platform, Tina could be asking how good her internal digital platforms are. So what's her back office like, record keeping, operational systems? For a jewelry business, maybe she doesn't need to have such a robust experience, but when you're looking at something where it's a grocery store, so if you're a supermarket trying to digitize, you need this. You need to be on top of your game in terms of your back office, in terms of your operational systems, because you're stocking, you could be procuring material or restocking on a daily basis versus Tina, who maybe needs to go out and buy material for her jewelry once every month or once every 2 months, So context is everything. What does your business need is the core starting point of your transformation. It's not what other people are doing. What does your team need? Okay, do they need a platform? Like, okay, if we go back to the design concept of Tina, maybe Tina runs the design process between her and a partner. Maybe she chooses the material, the partner chooses the design. So maybe they need to go back and forth. Maybe they're not at the same place at the same time. So there are design tools where it could be like a workflow between her and her design partner, and she gets notified when they make changes and so on. So maybe that's where she could really focus her internal processes and make them much more efficient. Are these back office platforms linked to your customer facing platform? So today, if a customer places an order on Instagram, does it show up in the back office platform? Does it trigger some sort of, okay, this person is assigned? So if she has a team of 3, person A is assigned to process this order, which even helps her in delegating the workload between her team. And finally, how you can better leverage the markets for your platforms. So whether you're deploying or upgrading your existing platforms. By the way, we mentioned the term building your digital capability. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that you need to build everything yourself. There are tons of resources available online, tons of apps that you could already leverage to start addressing each of the digital competitiveness. You never need to start from scratch. This is the beauty of the digital world today, So do not fall into the trap of thinking. So maybe Tina, by the way, in her context, she fell into the trap of thinking, I need to build a website already. She might have created the free one on Wix or paid someone to make her a much more, a sophisticated design through a different type of platform. But in reality, maybe she could have just focused on going through marketplaces and then, generating enough revenue to build a good and ideal experience. What you're doing when you're trying to jump the gun and go everywhere at once is that you could be reducing your trustworthiness in one aspect. So if we remember Tina's website, you might not even remember it because it was just so basic and simple. Customers will always think, Tina's website was like, it was very basic. I'd rather just order through WhatsApp, through Instagram. When in reality, if she delayed that and focused on the channels that she has today, she could have delivered a much more trustworthy platform where customers feel secure to conduct these payments online, trust the quality of the jewelry, are able to see, large, high quality images, specifications, and so on. So now that we've sort of deep dived into each of the 3 pillars, do any of you have questions? Maybe Hanan, there's something we could discuss here, I think.
I just think that one of the questions that we got is that like, do we need to start like you said, like everything all together? And I think that what I got from what you just explained is that even in content, we can just start with one thing and see like what works, what doesn't, and then like evolve as the business evolves. What do you think?
Exactly. Exactly. Never make the mistake of trying to do too much at once. It's always about understanding what it is that you need, what it is that your employees need, what it is that your customers need. Sometimes you'll find that the answer for employees, customers, and yourself is the same. Clearly, you have a winner for where you want to start this digital transformation process. So it's very, very easy to get overwhelmed. I'm not a fan of looking at other businesses when you're defining your starting point. It's always better to look within. When you look at other businesses, it's at a stage where you're trying, okay, khalas, I defined my starting point, it's content. Let me see how other businesses are doing their content. And be very strict. So you've decided you'll focus on content. You go see this jewelry store. Yeah, they have a configurator. Wow, this looks so good. You fall into the trap. No, I must have a configurator. No, your focus is content. You only look at this platform's content. Does that make sense? You have to be very, very focused. Otherwise, one of the most important words in today's day and age with so many distractions is consistency and focus. Like, these are the two things that you really need. So I hope
Couldn't
that
agree more.
Yeah. So now that we've done some, questioning, reflection, what happens next? We set our objectives. So these objectives, I'm giving you, several examples at once, and then we'll focus on one and run a play-by-play of how we would address that. So let's say you've set your objective in the large pillar of customer experience. It could be either enhancing customer satisfaction, it could be growing your customer base. You could do both at the same time, but again, it's only possible for you to succeed and not overwhelm yourself if you're choosing maybe, for example, one platform to address both. I'll deep dive into that in the next few slides. So the next pillar you could be focusing on is operations. So do you want to increase productivity and efficiency, or do you want to manage supply chain more effectively, or do you want to adjust the ratio of your operating expenses versus capital expenses? This goes back, by the way, this sentence itself is the problem statement that delivery as a service, jewelry as a service, and so on, companies are trying to address. So this in itself is a business model, which goes back to the 5 elements of digital capability. When you focus on operations, you could end up developing a new business model for your business. One of the biggest examples in this is Careem. Careem is now a super app. It started as purely, a competitor for Uber, then Uber acquired it. And then now you're seeing all these new features. They went into fintech, they went into groceries, they went into food delivery. So they focused on an aspect of their operations, and that ended up developing new business models for them. And that's where you see the power of focus. And you'll see in the examples that I'm showing you, when you focus on one pillar, focus on how you want to make the most out of it, you end up unintentionally serving all the other elements of your digital capability. Finally, you could be focusing on products. So maybe you want to accelerate new product developments or improve your product quality. Now, going back to Tina's example, Tina did the reflection that, we had. Her team said, put all the 3 things aside. We're running out of storage space, and most of our time is spent on deliveries. So do not concern us, with content or experience or whatever. And this is where I'm challenging myself. Her team is not concerned about their digital competitiveness yet. They're having enough orders generated for them to have this operational concern, which is running out of storage space, and most of their time is spent on delivery. Okay, this is where you have to be very transparent with yourself, very transparent when you discuss with your team. Don't impose something on them. Again, it's not the shiny value, it's not the shiny object value that you're going for. You're going for real business impact. So her team comes and says, we're running out of storage space. We're not even worried about content at this point. So Tina decides to prioritize managing her supply chain more effectively. And how do we automate this? let's look at, some small facts, add more context to Tina. Today, she sells both standard and customizable jewelry. Her standard jewelry is 60% of the orders that she gets. But her customizable jewelry, she sells at a higher markup, so they're much more profitable. How could Tina possibly address automating with these business facts and addressing her team's pain point? Third-party logistics, 3PL. This might be a foreign concept to you, so let me try to explain it to you. Today, Tina packages and her team, they handle the packaging, the storage and so on, and putting the jewelry together. It's taking up most of their time. There are businesses out there that exist to help you outsource the logistics part of your business. Why did we mention there are 60% of her orders that are standard? This means that Tina has an opportunity to take 60% of her orders and hire a third-party logistics company to do that for her. I'll mention why customizable might not be the greatest place to start from for this. So what you would do is that instead of Tina's team going and delivering every single day, all they need to do is, based on their stock projection, based on their sales information, they understand, okay, 100 pieces of this ring is going out per month. They hire a third-party logistics company and they send them the products. They also give them the packaging. They guide them on how they want the packaging. So they are retaining that part of the experience, which is the packaging. They're not, compromising it like you would if you go on Amazon, because Amazon, no matter what you buy through them, the product packaging itself is just, the casing, and then it's the Amazon box. So you are retaining your personal brand and they take care of everything else. So is everyone clear on what a third-party logistics company does? Or do you want me to clarify a little bit more?
Maybe just break it down with another example, please.
So I'll actually talk about maybe what they would do and how that advantages Tina. So warehousing and packing. Instead of Tina having to use her home office for all of these boxes and all of these plastic bags and so on, this third-party logistics company consists of a massive warehouse, and Tina would have a small space based on what her jewelry demands in this entire warehouse. So now Tina's home office has more space for her to spend time on maybe content creation or improving the jewelry or whatever. So in a way, she's actually making room for her to serve her other business operations. So that makes her team's efforts go down to one-time delivery to the warehouse per month. She is now able to see through a dashboard a track of her stock and sales, okay? Because this third-party logistics company is pushing out the products to the customers. They're managing the returns. They're handling all of that on behalf of Tina. And previously, Tina might have had to count the stock of, okay, what do we have left? What do we need to push out more? Now it's all just trackable on a dashboard. And finally, what we mentioned, which is the freeing up space in Tina's home office. Second, Tina and her team do not need to worry about making time in their day to drive out to a customer. One thing to think about, and I know a lot of small businesses have this issue, especially in the UAE. Today, maybe you're based in Sharjah, but you can only deliver between Sharjah and Dubai during the week. And then all these small businesses have, for Abu Dhabi, Ajman, Fujairah, whatever, orders only taken on the weekend, because that's when they're free to go out to these areas. So that's an example of where maybe Tina's team is struggling during the week. I can't get out to the other areas and deliver on time. Maybe my Sharjah and Dubai customers are happier because I deliver to them faster, but I'm compromising my Ajman, Ras Al Khaimah, and so on customers. So another thing that could be the case for Tina is that, okay, now my orders are getting bigger. My car alone can't fit the bulk of what I need to be delivering. Maybe she would think about investing in a small van to be able to fit into all these boxes. When she's outsourcing to third-party logistics, she converted that capital expense of buying a vehicle to an operating expense, okay? And another outcome is the better lead time and delivery because of their network. So she's addressing all of this just by outsourcing this pillar and automating it. Does that make sense? And finally, another interesting pillar is that today maybe we're looking at Dubai, Sharjah, and so on, but third-party logistics companies have experience in transport documentation, import and export, international compliance, economic regulations. That means Tina now has an opportunity for even geographical expansion. Now, one very big concern that people have for going for these models is that sometimes they're subscription based. So you could pay, for example, 2,000 dirhams a month for 200 deliveries. Anything beyond, you might need to pay maybe an additional. If, you, for example, you had a good month and you exceeded the 200 deliveries that you've projected. Sometimes the business model is a base cost and a percentage of the revenue that you make. Sometimes that percentage is 5, 6, 7, sometimes it goes up to 14%. To business owners, don't be greedy. Don't be too fazed by the fact that someone is taking 10% or 7%. Think about it this way. How much would you have spent on warehousing, logistics, if you were to do it yourself? And another question to ask yourself is, how long would it take you to do it? Okay. When Tina outsourced it to third-party logistics company, she was able to get access to expertise and experience in the concept of delivery. She was able to free up her team's energy to focus on the core competencies, which are the digital marketing, the product creation, and so on. She was able to gain flexibility and scalability. She immediately expanded her customer base to other regions. So now she can serve even more customers. And that enables her business growth and her market expansion. So just by focusing on one pillar, she somehow ended up serving her customer experience. She worked on a platform. She outsourced the platform for her internal operations. And so this third-party logistics company, the role of them in Tina's supply chain is that they're giving her access to markets where she wouldn't have established presence otherwise. She's being able to manage inventory in a new market without having to spend money on warehousing, equipment, or labor. So, and all of these as an outcome improve customer satisfaction. Now there's consistency. All the customers are able to get their deliveries within a specified, defined amount of time. No one likes to place an order that they don't know whether it's going to take 2, 3, or 5 days to get, So this is a quick, or not a quick, this is a superficial example of, because there's so many details that you can go into. But what I need you to take out of this is the thought process, how you can reshape your thoughts. Once you set an objective, how you can start to think about automating it, how you can start to link it to the business value that it creates for you, and how it can free up your resources to in turn grow your digital competitiveness.
So I think it's very important here, Sarah, to also highlight one more time that this is not the first step. I'm not launching my startup today, and the first thing is me looking for a third-party logistics or last mile, right? So this is me when I'm already in the business. I already have established a database of clients, and now I'm overwhelmed by wearing different hats. So today I'm the jewelry design maker, and I'm also a delivery person. So now I'm in a place where I have so many orders that not only me and my team, we're 3, 4 people can take care of it. And also, like you said, I need to manage my resources, right? Because my jewelry designer is someone who's 1 hour is costing me $100, while I could bring in a last mile and it will only cost me $1 for it. So it's a kind of we need to think more about how our resources are used. Are they put in the right place? And again and again and again, because you have been repeating this, and I think it's very important. This is not the first step we go to. Even in all of automation, if I have understood it right, and correct me, Sarah, I believe that those are processes that we look at as we grow our business, and like you said, when we do the ranking and the scaling of what brings in value and what could cut cost and add more value to us, and that's where we take all of these decisions, right?
Exactly. So you mentioned the right point. This is when you have your own business. Again, going back, this is the context of Tina, the small handmade jewelry business owner. Your context today could be much more different, and we'll take another example again in the context of Tina. But the real starting point, and that's why we started with, questions and ranking and so on, because for me, what's important for business owners today is to understand what it is that they need, because that is their starting point. Focus is so important. Checking yourself, because I made the mistake before. I was tasked with building our own e-commerce platform. And in the meeting, I went in, thinking, okay, I'm just going to focus on these two things. These are the customers. This is the way that we're going to do it. In the meeting, I was starting to talk about, yeah, let's do, let's go for a reminder emails. Let's automate the digital marketing. And I don't know what. And I had to reel myself back in. And I'm like, like you're going in with the budget of a Kia and you're asking for a Ferrari. So I had to really like continuously check myself. So I've made these mistakes, and that's why I'm telling you, focus is everything. Understanding what it is that you need today is everything, with keeping in mind what will be important for tomorrow. So if today Tina is going for a third-party logistics company, and the company today, the maximum deliveries per month they can do is 1,000. But Tina is projecting her business to grow up to 10,000 deliveries a month. She has to choose her third-party logistics company based on the flexibility and scalability that they offer her. So that's why thinking about the future is also important for what you choose for tools today. That's why we looked at today and 3 years from now. So there are so many big platform companies that the price of them could be maybe somewhat a little bit more expensive, so maybe $1,000 more expensive, 2,000, than a cheaper platform. But if you're projecting your business to grow, it's so much easier to upgrade within the $2,000 more expensive platform to cater to other features and so on, versus migrating from the one that you can afford right now to the one that you want to afford. So don't be cheap in investing once you decide what part of your business you want to focus on. And when you choose a third-party logistics company or whatever solution that it is that suits the objective that you want to have, make sure to think about the future. So let's take another example of setting your objectives. Tina's team, they come and say, okay, Tina, in terms of the customer experience part, there are so many inquiries we cannot keep up. So now Tina's priority with her team is to enhance customer satisfaction based on what the feedback that they gave her. Tina's now a little bit more mature. She is more advanced in her thinking about her business. So she's like, okay, let me take what you're saying, but me as a business leader, as a strategy implementer, I think we need to find a solution that helps us improve overall customer experience. So she realizes now that there are tools out there that can help her address her team's pain points and improve the overall. Looking at the context of her team, they get 30 plus messages a day, but they only get a chance to reply twice a day. Sometimes responsiveness is everything. I myself, when I want an option for anything, I can message multiple businesses. The winner is the one that responds to me first with a response that I like, obviously. So when they're replying twice a day, they could be losing customers to another jewelry business that is much more responsive. Majority of their messages come through WhatsApp. This is important for you to understand, okay, so how do I choose a tool based on this context? A lot of the questions are repetitive. It's about, okay, what is the delivery time and so on. Some of them are discount requests. And we also have customization queries. Another mistake that Tina and her team made is that the WhatsApp number on her Instagram profile is personal. So what's a solution to automate this? I actually want to hear from the audience what is a solution that they would put for this kind of context. So Hanan, if you want to read the responses to me.
Okay, so please, ladies, add your answers in the chat box. So Silvana says WhatsApp business. For sure, you got it right.
Exactly.
Chatbot.
Exactly.
Automated replies to generic questions. I think that they do this on Messenger as well, right?
Exactly. So you could go for WhatsApp business, Facebook Messenger for business, or a chatbot for your website. But in Tina's context, WhatsApp is the way to go because that's where the majority of her messages are coming. That's why, guys, context is everything. Understanding your business, talking to your team, seeing where things are happening. Don't fool yourself into thinking that your need is different to what it actually is. When your starting point is looking at other brands, maybe another jewelry brand, they are doing it through Messenger. But you don't have any customer base through Messenger. Why would you spend time and effort on deploying that? Context is everything. So
you can also set these automated replies on WhatsApp Business as well, right? Because
exactly.
yes, FAQ, like the frequent asked questions, because like even with like big telecom companies, when you go to the chat for help, you start asking questions and they're like the automatic reply depending on like, I think certain keywords, you know, like, so if you're asking about like delivery go there or there, you can set all of these things in business, in WhatsApp Business,
exactly.
right?
I'll actually show you after. I want to hear from the audience examples. I'll show you what you can do with chatbots just using the WhatsApp example. So definitely, this is a very, very valid and very advantageous feature that chatbots, WhatsApp for business and Messenger for business have. So seeing that a lot of you got the right answer, what is an example of a business and a brand that you have interacted with on WhatsApp?
So FedEx, Emirates NBD, Aramex, vaccination with صحة, definitely.
Okay.
Abu Dhabi International Bank, ADIB, I think. Phone companies, of course, flower deliveries, definitely. Aramex.
Okay. Now I have a follow-up question for all of you that answered. Did you have to call them or send an email after these WhatsApp interactions, or were your questions addressed? So you can just say, yes, my questions were addressed, or no.
Yes, okay, yes, yes, yes. It's a very, to be honest, also WhatsApp is you feel it like a very light, instant kind of communication, brings a lot of value, you know, like you feel, okay, with صحة, yes, sometime, never with live. Oh, okay, well, live,
Yeah,
when you're listening, this is a good feedback for you.
we will not discuss live here, but I hear you. We will not discuss live here, but I hear you.
Okay, sometimes bad due diligence, bad customer service. Okay, but sometimes they have to call if like the customer
That's
service
natural.
is.
That's natural because, but you can say that a large percentage did benefit from it.
True.
Actually, going back to live, I won't, there's no, I won't address your experience. I'll talk about the concept of live. Emirates NBD, when they created live, they developed their own chatbot. If they went through WhatsApp for the automation of this messaging, this is a thought-provoking question, could their customer experience have been a little bit better? So that's something to think about. When you're talking about the companies that you've interacted with on WhatsApp versus the ones that make their own chatbot, sometimes the experience is so much better on Messenger and WhatsApp, but that's because these companies spend money, time, and efforts towards constantly evolving the customer experience in that component. So that's why, again, don't fall into the trap of thinking, I need to build my own chatbot. No, these tools exist. Just like you're spending money into working on the jewelry part of your business, there are businesses that spend their money, resources, and time on purely that aspect, whether it's the third-party logistics or the messaging. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. So going back to your question, Hanan, or the point that you mentioned, what can you do with chatbots such as WhatsApp for Business? You can create your business profile. Today, if I can't find your business just by, Google Maps or Google search, or if I can't see information about who I need to call or what it is that you do, you're in the digital graveyard. You know, if your business is not online, oh, like you're in a graveyard. You've lost. If you're only relying on word of mouth, then your business is expanding to your mom's friends or your friends' friends. That's
And
it.
I think also like with the COVID, after the COVID era, or right now, we have to say like now many things need to be online and digitized. Just aside a question for all of these, like when we start even WhatsApp business, are we relying on our own number, or or WhatsApp business assigns us one, or there, because you mentioned you're going to give us an example, are you going to show us that?
So this is the example is just going to be restricted to this. I've actually simplified it to this for the sake of time. But you're right. Never use your personal number for your business. Okay, you either get a work SIM. I actually don't know if in other chatbots you can create the profile without using your actual business number. But for WhatsApp, you do need to get a separate number, a business number preferably, just so that you're isolating, this is for your mental health as well, right? So you're isolating the business part of the interactions that you're receiving from the personal part. So it's so important. So Tina's first step, if we were to take this back to Tina, her first step is to get a separate business number for her WhatsApp. If you're not investing in a separate business number for your WhatsApp, then you don't believe in your business. Don't skimp out on small things for your business. If you don't think you're worthy of a separate number, then you're not believing in the potential of your business. You need to have some faith in yourself. So the first thing she needs to do is believe in herself enough to get a business number for her WhatsApp. Second thing is to sit with her team and, okay, look, guys, based on the messages that we're getting, let's start maybe by setting a greeting message and an away message. Maybe that's the starting point. Then she can work her way down to, okay, quick replies. These are the questions that I'm getting. I'm getting recurring questions on, do you have the product catalog that I can look at? So if I'm not building the product catalog on WhatsApp or adding to cart, then my automated message would be a link to my Instagram page or to my website where the product list is there. Now, if we're just looking at what Tina was discussing with her team, today, just the business profile and the business tools are more than enough to address her team's pain point. If Tina's thinking more strategically, she could be converting. So today, what happens is her customers say, okay, I want to order this, if it's a customization order or whatever, and she has to send them payment link and so on. If she decides to take it a step further and implement her strategy, WhatsApp gives you an option to put your catalog and add to cart. So she's automating that even more. She's expanding her business model to generate even more revenue through WhatsApp. Another really interesting feature is the free WhatsApp entry point. So through social media such as Facebook, Instagram, and so on, WhatsApp gives you the ability to create QR codes and short links or action buttons and embed them within these different platforms. So today, Tina can appeal to her different types of audiences across the different types of platforms. So do you see how simple automation can be? It's a solution that you're literally, how many of you have WhatsApp on your phone? It's the same, but you're just downloading a separate app for your business. Automation doesn't need to be something as overwhelming as, I don't know, a third-party logistics company. So it can be really, really simple. It could be really familiar. The more familiar it is for you, the better it is. Okay. So don't be falling into the trap of, I'll create my own chatbot. No, just use WhatsApp. You know the app. You're getting most of your queries on there. Make your life easy, and then you can worry about scaling up or improving. By the way, Hanan, the exercise that we did with the 3 pillars of content, experience, and platform, assessing where you are today and where you want to be 3 years from now, that's not something that you do once. So after Tina deploys the third-party logistics, or after she deploys the WhatsApp for business, she could reassess with her team and see, okay, as a business, you never stop working on evolving yourself and improving your operations. Reflection, constant reflection is so important. And that actually brings me back to a very important point, which is the leadership capability, which is the biggest, arm in whether digital transformation could work or not. If Tina was not someone who listens to her team, she might have been pushing them in a direction where they're addressing, topics that are actually not relevant. And she added to the burden of their team to work on maybe creating new content, when in reality, now they have two burdens instead of one, So strong leadership is extremely, extremely, extremely important in the case of digital transformation or any business transformation. Actually, this slide applies to a lot. And I think it's related to some of the sessions that NEMA and the UN are having to address for entrepreneurs. So this is a recurring theme, and it's even more important and prevalent in digital transformation. So when you think about strong leadership, your capability relies on three things: your vision, okay, engagement, how you engage your employees, how you continuously sit with them and ask them, okay, what is your feedback? Are you empowering them to be making suggestions for what you need to transform, what you need to be digitizing, what you need to be automating? Finally, governance. So you don't just deploy WhatsApp for Business or third-party logistics and sit there. No, you need to constantly sit and ask your employees, is it productive? Does it deliver a good employee experience? Does it drive a good customer experience? Maybe Tina decides third-party logistics is costing her more than it should or more than it could if she was to deliver. So it's okay to go back on a decision. It's okay to try a tool for a month and then decide, okay, this is not serving me. Maybe I need to find a different tool. And that's why outsourcing your digital capability is sometimes even more beneficial at the very early stages of your business. It's a lot more affordable to switch platforms than when you build an entire platform. And I know so many businesses that build their platform, they hate it. They come and they tell me, Sada, like, this is the absolute worst platform that I've ever used. I spent so much money on it. When I hear the amount of money that they spend, it does not justify what is being delivered to the customers. So when you're someone who has that vision, when you're able to engage your team to serve that vision, and then constantly build a scheme of governance where maybe monthly they sit and they look at the WhatsApp for Business reports, or they look at the 3PL dashboard, you're able to understand with your employees, okay, is it productive? Does it deliver a good employee experience? Does it drive a good customer experience? So these are the three elements that if you try to bring into your business as a leader, or by the way, as an employee or wherever you are, where you have to run a project, you would reduce your chances into falling into the trap of the 70% of failed efforts, right? So, just this is just food for thought. And in a nutshell, right? If we were to tie all of these things together, okay, if we were to summarize everything that we discussed today into a few sentences, today as a business, if you want to drive new digital revenue, maybe you need to focus on strengthening your digital content. If you want to drive cross-selling and more revenue per customer, so if Tina wants to sell a ring, necklace, and a bracelet in one transaction versus just a necklace, she needs to improve her digital customer experience. If you want to work on efficiency and flexibility, maybe you need to work towards building your internal digital platform. So here what we're seeing is the ability to define your vision and accordingly your goals, okay? And understand that ultimately any new technology or digital process you adopt will only ever be as effective as the people that are entrusted with its implementation. So if Tina's team or Tina's decision to go for WhatsApp for Business is driven by the fact that all her team has WhatsApp, she's making their life easier. She's not making them go into trainings, into another tool, and so on. And if they want to, like they have the first layer of knowledge about WhatsApp for Business, they can even supplement that and take it a step further by using the resources that a lot of these tools have. They have consultants, they have videos that help you understand where you can take it to the next level. So digital transformation is not as scary as people make it seem. And again, your starting point and your ending point is all in your business operations. So I hope that you found this very, insightful. And I think this is where I would want to go for the more engaging, interactive part. So we can go for questions, maybe a discussion.
We're actually 4 minutes over our time.
Ah, my timer says 90. Oh, 90. I'm sorry for that.
No,
I'm sorry.
not sorry at all. Thank you so much, Sarah. This is an amazing session, very informative, receiving a lot of positive feedback from everyone in the room. Just one last poll. Thank you very much. If you could please add it, like how knowledgeable are you now after the session? Sarah, you've done an amazing job. Thank you very much. This is a very informative session. We're receiving a lot of positive feedback, around 62%. So it's very good to good. Yeah, go ahead.
So sorry to interrupt you. Thanks so much, Sarah. Way to go. It was an amazing session. We're very proud of you. And thank you so much, Hanan, for leading the discussion. I just want to make sure, even if we a little bit bypass the time, however, it's important to take any questions, additional questions, if possible.
We were actually taking them through the session and addressing them. Very engaging
yes, of course.
Audience today.
In case any additional questions, we can take them, probably.
Thank you, everyone. They're asking for another session like this, asking for the coming, all of you will receive the coming invitation for the session on the 23rd, speaking about post-COVID economy with Ramil Karmi. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Very inspired. Thank you. They're very positive feedback today. We don't have any, like for the poll, all go between very good to good. This is a great indicator for a very well done session today. Sarah Abdullah, thank you very much. Thank you, Hiba and Maya, my colleagues, for being here today and supporting us. Thank you for you and women and Nama Women Advancement for making this session happen. Thank you everyone for being here today and joining us, and we hope to see you again in our next session next Tuesday.